Hello, ladies and gentlemen, coming at you with another video. If you have not seen the cause and effect video yet, you need to watch that one first, because this one that I'm talking about right now is going to delve more into the concept of cause and effect. So if you need a little refresher, or you're not sure what cause and effect really means, you need to go watch that first. Now, we want to talk about indirect versus direct causes and effects. Usually we talk about indirect and direct when we talk about one event. My event example is dissolving Napoleon's empire. All right, so today we're going to look at the indirect causes, the direct effects, and the indirect effects of Napoleon's empire falling apart. Our indirect cause. The definition of an indirect cause is something that contributes but doesn't necessarily I hate to use the same word, but directly cause something else to happen. Usually indirect causes are feelings or ideas. So, nationalism, when we talk about Napoleon, was one of the big indirect causes. Because of nationalism, people in Napoleon's empire felt that they wanted to belong to their own nations. They thought that their nations were better than being part of the French Empire. So they started to not like Napoleon. They started to rebel against him. Okay, and they started to just distrust the government. That was one of the indirect causes of Napoleon's empire falling apart. One of the direct causes, it happened right before Napoleon's empire fell apart. Usually direct causes are other events. For example, going back to our example, Napoleon's defeat at Waterloo was the direct cause of his empire falling apart. All right, so nationalism helped a little bit along the way, but Napoleon's empire fell apart right after he was defeated at Waterloo. Now, right after his empire fell apart, right after he was defeated, was related to the outcome. He was exiled to St. Helena. Remember, that was that island in the middle of the Atlantic Ocean where he died when he was about 36 years old. All right, he couldn't come back from that. Could not come back from that island. That was a direct effect of his empire falling apart because nobody wanted him to be the ruler anymore. He had been defeated. He had his subjects had created their own nations. They felt nationalism. So a direct effect of his defeat and his empire dissolving was him being exiled. Now, an indirect effect. Indirect effects aren't always the easiest to see. Sometimes they even take years to finally happen or finally come up, finally be visible for people to say, oh, this is an indirect effect of this event. Well, take a look at our example. Britain began the Industrial Revolution. You're probably saying to yourself, Miss Barner, I have no idea how those two things come together. Well, that's why indirect effects are sometimes so hard to spot, because sometimes they don't have anything to do with one another. Okay, but with Napoleon's empire falling apart, all the nations that, after the Congress of Vienna, remember, they divvied Europe up into lots of different nations, and each of those new nations had to start getting its infrastructure, its money, its government together. Okay, they didn't have all that stuff because they'd been ruled by Napoleon for 50 or so years. Britain didn't have any of those problems. Remember, Britain was never taken over by Napoleon. So Britain still had a stable government. Britain still had infrastructure. Britain had a lot of money coming in because they still paid for exploration while Napoleon was off gallivanting around Europe trying to conquer everybody. So because Britain still had a stable government, Britain still had all of the money because of everything I just said about Great Britain versus what was happening to the places that were conquered by Napoleon. Britain was able to start the Industrial Revolution much sooner than those other places. If you have any questions, post them in the comments. If not, see you next time.